This episode of Talk About Games is sponsored by Loot Gaming. This month's crate is Stranded. Head to lootcrate.com/Cinemassacre for yours and use coupon code Cinemassacre for 10% off your next order.
How's it going, guys? Today we're talking about Pokemon Go, which is brand new, just came out this week, and oh my god, believe it or not, I love it.
Pokemon Go is this crazy phenomenon. When it was first announced, I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be a cool little game.
Right.
We played Miitomo, and Miitomo really didn't do it for me. All of a sudden, it's like, we're going to the convenience store, and the people behind the counter are talking about it.
Yeah.
The people in line are talking about it. We're running into groups of people just in the world talking about Pokemon Go.
We went to a park. It's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We caught a Bulbasaur, and there's other people in the park. It's like dark out. Now, normally that wouldn't be the case. Like, the park would be empty. So, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. We pull up, and then like 5 other cars pull up. And we're going to the gyms, we're going to the Pokespots, we're catching the Pokemon, all that great stuff. And then the cops came.
The cops came, and they're like, they probably thought something bad was going on.
What's going on?
And the cop comes up to us, he's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, we're catching like Charmander. And he's like,
the guy's like, oh my god.
He like literally started laughing. He's like,
yeah, he's like, how old are you guys?
Yeah. And so he's like, all right, you guys gotta like go home and like get a life.
It's creating these social gaming experiences in the real world.
It's crazy. It's like bringing video games into real life. You're going out to the mall, you're going out to the park, whatever, you're walking down the street, and you hold up a camera to a bush or something, and the Pokemon is right there. I mean, it's amazing. There's never been anything like this that I've seen.
We thought that the augmented reality was going to be used in more games.
Yeah.
Because it came with those cards you could put on the table, and then it like shows a little thing. But the 3DS didn't really have many augmented reality games.
Yeah.
The 3D camera was really wasted.
Right.
But now, with the smartphones and with Pokemon Go, we're getting a better augmented reality experience. I mean, how many people on Twitter right now are taking pictures with their Pokemon? It's like everybody.
It's so viral.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is what they were always kind of trying to do with Pokemon. Do you remember Pokemon Snap?
Yeah.
It's like, this is the realized version of what Pokemon, I think, always was supposed to really be. Not that the old games, like, on Game Boy and stuff aren't great, but this is crazy. I mean, this is like everyone is playing this game. I'm driving down the street and I'm seeing teenage boys walking around town. They normally look like, when I go down the street, you don't see groups of like teenagers walking around with their cell phones out. It's like, it's actually kind of cool because it's getting people outside and it's getting people exercise as well. I mean, people are walking around to find spots. Sometimes if you're standing like here and you got to find the Pokemon, it might be quarter of a mile in that direction. You got to walk over there to catch it to be within your radius, and that's getting people exercise too. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, there's a few mechanics in Pokemon Go that encourage walking and traveling. The first one is when you go to the Pokespots, you can get eggs. And the eggs have a certain amount of kilometers on them that you need to walk to make them hatch. So some are 2, some are 5, and I've even gotten ones that are 10 kilometers.
Okay.
So you have incubators.
Is the likelihood if you walk further, it would be a better Pokemon? Or?
Everyone is saying that online. Oh, the 10s are the good ones.
Okay.
But, we've had Pokemon come from the 10s that were super common.
Okay.
And then I've done ones that were 2, and I've gotten Pokemon that I didn't have before.
Right.
So it may affect the calculation, but just because it's a 2-kilometer egg, that doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get something bad. And just because it's a 10-kilometer egg, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a great Pokemon.
Something I have to say about this game that while I really enjoy this game, I think it is skewed towards an older audience, at least to be good at it, because if you're an 8-year-old kid, let's just say, it's the summer. Of course, if the kids are in school, they're not going to be able to really play it, but if it's the summer and you're stuck at home, there's only going to be so much you can do, whereas a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old can drive wherever they want and collect Pokemon. And really, there's a huge advantage to having a car.
Yeah, we're trying to get it right now. There's a bunch of Cloyster here, too.
I'm trying so hard, I can't get it.
I've always seen it as primarily a kid's game.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying that, like I played the games.
I played it, I loved it.
But I see it primarily as something that's geared towards kids, whereas Pokemon Go is a game geared towards adult-and college-ish people who have cars and can go to the great places. Because, look, in your neighborhood, you're not going to find great stuff.
It's kind of the further distance that you go, you can get better Pokemon.
As near as I could tell, it's tied to two things. There are parks and malls that, like, it's a different color on your map because it's either a building or it's like a grassy park. If you're in a park or you're near a body of water, you're going to find different and more varied Pokemon, and it seems like the rare spawns congregate in public places.
Right. And by the way, I mean, the game is called Pokemon Go, so it's obviously go somewhere, but if you have a car, you can go more places, which is a little bit...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are some things that I think are unfortunate about Pokemon Go right now. The one thing is they really weren't prepared for
it to be this popular.
The success that it is. You know, we're a few days into it now, and the servers are still flaky. I feel like the combat mechanic is kind of not fleshed out. I mean, Pokemon is known for its rich typing system and for the rich move sets and things like that. And the actual gym gameplay, it's fun because you're fighting against these people that are right in front of you, and it's very new and it's very fresh, but it's not the deep Pokemon battle system.
Right. I want to say that I think that this game is really a long time coming, or something like this. I've been saying for years that why aren't Nintendo games on the cell phone? It would be so, like, they could make so much money, it'd be so popular. Why don't they have a Legend of Zelda game on the cell phone? Why aren't there more, and now I think there will be, finally. I think Nintendo had to have this happen for them to wake up and finally realize, oh shit, so we need to have some games on cell phones, because they're making a fortune right now.
We don't often talk about the money of the game industry, but Nintendo's stock was up something like 25%. That's an insane boost. This is a real phenomenon for them. Yeah. This is similar to Wii. We were saying, oh, this is the game that's going to ignite the passions of casual gamers. Yeah. Again, like...
When the Wii came out, everybody was talking about, like, oh, you can do Wii bowling and all that, and it was a big deal for a little while. You're right, that's a great analogy. This is the first thing Nintendo's had in a long time that really... And by the way, we keep saying Nintendo, but it's like the Pokemon company.
It's really an interesting story how this game came to be, because you notice when you start the game, it says Niantic, or I don't know how to say it, but it's this different company, Inc., that's making it under license. And this company is actually a collaboration between Google and Nintendo. So so there's like this new
because of the GPS.
This company because of the Google Map integration and all of that. And one thing that Google is known for that Nintendo is not is iterative development cycles, where you're going from we're going to release this minimal design and then we're going to add a feature, add a feature, add a feature, add a feature. If they can keep the content fresh, this game is a success. If 45 days from now, 60 days from now, we don't see new things.
They just need to keep updating it and bringing new things to it. They need to make the combat system better. I actually don't think it's a bad thing that the combat system is very minimal and basic right now, because the game just came out, and for people who are new to Pokemon, that might be a good thing, because it's like, okay, get people used to the basics and then gradually release things that are a little more in-depth.
I definitely think the game is more about the social experience and the real world aspect of it, and
which is incredible. I mean, we were walking around outside in a park playing a video game and catching Pokemon. I mean, it's not fucking real, but like... it has the appearance, it has the illusion that the Pokemon are at the tree you're standing by, or at the public bathroom you're standing by.
A lot of gaming press now is talking about emergent gameplay in games. Games like Ark, games like Minecraft, games where the players bring the gameplay, not necessarily the designers. The designers give you the parts, and then you make the game this. And Pokemon Go, in all its simplicity, has created, for me, in just a few short days, a huge amount of emergent gameplay in the real world. We're tracking through cemeteries. We're running around lakes in the middle of the night. You know, that it looks like Crystal Lake, and we're going around. We took our town, and our town became the map.
If you go to really crazy remote locations, can you get extremely good Pokemon by going far out? If you climb to the top of Mount Everest, can you catch the fucking greatest Pokemon ever?
There is some things that the developers did say. The Pokemon you find are affected by where you are, the time of day, and the weather. And the example they gave was, if there's a thunderstorm, you might get electric Pokemon. So I can't wait for the next thunderstorm. I'm gonna run to my car. You know, it's funny that you think about that, but I mean, those are the kind
Just don't get outside of your car.
Yeah, right. So I mean,
I will say there is a little bit of a dangerous aspect to this. I was walking around, and sometimes, you know, I'm paying attention, but sometimes you're playing the game and you're not paying attention completely. I was tripping over some stuff, so you gotta be a little bit careful with this.
Yeah, I mean,
especially don't like be driving your you know, park your car, but don't be like driving around town.
Definitely, you're gonna need your designated Pokemon driver. Yeah, you know, like that's your thing, right? Okay, so there's 3 modes of advancement in Pokemon Go. The first thing is your character is a level. And everything you do in the game, from evolving Pokemon to visiting Pokestops to winning battles to catching Pokemon, generates experience. As you get higher experience, it goes to the second system, which is all of your Pokemon have combat power. And as you level up, the maximum amount of combat power that you can have per Pokemon goes up. So at level 1 or level 2, you may only be able to find them that go up to 50. But at level 15, you could have a 1,000 combat power Pokemon.
At which point do you get the food?
So anytime...
Is that when you're at a Pokestop?
Anytime you catch or hatch a Pokemon, you get the candy of the type of Pokemon that it is. For 1 candy and a certain amount of Stardust, you can raise its combat power.
Okay.
For 12 candy, you can evolve it into the next Pokemon in its chain. Yeah. It's cheaper to raise the combat power of low evolutionary Pokemon than it is later. But if you're at 75% of your max value, the evolved version will be at 75%.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Of the max value. Okay. So really, if you're min-maxing things, you should take the lowest evolution, raise it to whatever your level can let it be raised to, then evolve it.
Okay.
But there's also the metagame of the fact that anytime you evolve, you're getting 1,000 experience. So if you get a bunch of really common Pokemon, maybe you want to just evolve them all.
Right.
Because you don't care about them for combat, you just want to harvest the experience. And that's the other thing. If you get a bunch of Pokemon of the same type, you can return them to the professor, or as I like to say, you send them to the glue factory, and then you get 1 candy for each one you destroy. We were down by this huge lake.
Yeah.
And we were rotating around, and we looked up
Driving
and we
around
saw...
the lake?
Yeah. And then I was like panning my view, and I look up and I see all these Pokestops. And I'm like, what is up there? I thought maybe it was like an industrial park or something. So we drive up and we drive in, and it's real dark. And we turn around and there's all these headstones everywhere. And it's like this unbelievably huge cemetery that I didn't even know existed. And every single bench was a memorial bench, and every single one of them was a Pokestop. And in the middle of the cemetery, there was a gym. It was like this gigantic guy with a sword surrounded by headstones. We fought the battles at the gym.
Yeah.
I took control of the gigantic sword gym, right? And before we got home, somebody had already come into the cemetery that's like in the woods back by this lake.
Well, I got to tell them about what happened today. So we went to this park, and similar thing. Ryan owned the gym, by the time we left, but then the police officer came to kick everybody out of the park because it was getting late. And then the police officer is sitting there. Still, right now, the police officer is still sitting there protecting.
Yeah. So I own the gym, and then the cop is sitting there to not let anybody in the park
until tomorrow morning. So nobody. So there's a police officer protecting
the gym, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah. You're saying that the combat system is not like there yet. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see in Pokemon Go?
It's more clear where I'm going to find different Pokemon. That's number one.
Okay.
It'd be cool if there was like biomes, like, oh, I'm in the forest now, I'm in the plains, I'm in the thing. So they divided them up. I would like if there was like a Poke radar. Like there's the little thing where you see the footsteps to see how close the Pokemon are. Yeah. But it would be cool if it showed you arrows, so you know where to walk.
Yeah, that was one thing that I didn't think was very good. Like on screen, your guy might be looking down, and then I start walking in that direction, but really then I have to turn around because I'm walking in the wrong direction. Yeah. That is not good right now.
I really feel like when people walk in public, like you want to walk in a direction.
Right.
You don't want to be like
that's the thing that's making people like trip over shit and like, I hit a rock or whatever, because it's like you're looking down at the thing, you're like, what direction do I have to stand in? And the next thing you know, you're tripping over a fucking stone or something.
I also feel like residential areas are very sparsely populated with Pokemon. And I feel like, especially for the kids, you should be able to play the game in your neighborhood.
That I think is essential because, for like I was saying earlier, kids that don't have a car, what are they going to do? How can they compete?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that's definitely best played in like developed suburbs, cities, and public places like parks and malls.
Yeah.
If you're in like a suburban neighborhood, like I walked 3 kilometers and I saw 3 Pokemon. Right. They are coming out with the watch. It's really hard to keep the app open when you're doing your steps.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to hatch the eggs.
Yeah.
I think the Go Plus is going to have features that make, you don't need it to play the game, but it's going to make certain parts of the game more convenient.
Okay.
And I think $35 is a good price point.
People will pay it.
It's a reasonable price point. I think they're going to sell a ton of them.
Yeah.
But I really would like to see the other features that it has. I don't think that it should be the must-have device. Right. I mean, I think the way it is now, where like everybody's just like, oh, I'm going to download and enjoy it. That's really cool.
It should remain like that. Obviously, this is extremely popular. Everybody's playing it. So I feel like Nintendo's going to want to do not only more Pokemon Go, but probably games like this where you have the cell phone and, you're walking around. Perfect thing to do this with, Legend of Zelda, because think about Hyrule. Think about walking around the overworld in Hyrule, or even dungeons or whatnot. I don't know exactly how they would do it. Obviously, it would be different than the Pokemon Go game, but if there was a Mario version where you're walking around the Mushroom Kingdom, like think of Mario 64 and you're going around collecting mushrooms, I don't know. They have just opened up a world of amazing possibilities. Yeah. I'd like to see other Nintendo franchises come into fruition with this new concept.
I really think that they need to find a safe way to introduce social elements. Like me and you could be standing right next to each other in Pokemon Go, and there's no way for us to interact in the game world if there's not a gym or we're not just talking.
I'm sure they'll get there.
Because Nintendo is always a little bit timid about introducing ways for people to relate to each other,
because then people are going to start screwing with each other. So I can understand why.
I mean, so far everyone has been really polite and respectful. Right. It's nothing like going into a Counter-Strike lobby or a Call of Duty lobby where people are like, fuck you and all that.
Well, that's because, you're doing it over the internet and like it's just, people have handles. This is, you actually have to see other players in person. And actually that, I just had a good thought is like, it's like going to the arcade back in the days, which is what I love so much. I miss so much more than anything. I miss the experience of going into the arcade, and I'm talking about the real arcades, like back in the early mid 80s. The arcade was full. It was a social experience. You'd go out, you play with friends. This is bringing that back in a way. Now it's only bringing it back with Pokemon is really my only problem with it. And I like Pokemon. I like this game, but let's have more games like this.
This is what kids are doing anyway. They're all on their phones all the time.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, let's bring people together. I mean that's really great.
And that makes me sad that we're losing couch co-op and we've lost so much social experience. It's almost gone almost completely non-social to where, I mean, it's social in terms of like if you have an internet connection, but it's like people aren't together. This is totally bringing people together, and that is amazing.
Just please make your servers work.
But this game gets my endorsement. I really like it.